Good afternoon and good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and coffee stream number 135. And it's Wednesday, so it's another Wednesdays with Skep. How are you doing today, Skep?
I'm doing very wonderfully. Thank you very much. I thought that I was going to be the one who's going to be late today, but I guess you were wrestling with Apple again. So
I was trying to copy the Hangout link to paste it in a Twitter message like I always do. And I was getting the Apple equivalent of the Windows, that bong,
yeah,
like when
right, clank, clank,
yeah.
clank.
I cannot do that, Dave.
Right, right, exactly.
So I ended up having to DM Skep and go, "Do you please tell me you have an email for your Skep Talk account?"
No, I have many emails. That's one thing I have a plethora of is emails. So no worries about that. God, it's going to be in the 80s this week in Texas.
It's finally broken the 40-degree mark here.
Oh,
it's fucking amazing. It's supposed to be in the 50s on Friday.
40s. That just hurts me. That's cold as shit.
and you know what's really funny about Canadians is two times a year we experience these temperatures. Yeah. And one time of year we sit there and go, "This is fucking freezing."
Yeah.
And then in the other time of year we're like, "Oh my God, this is beautiful."
Yeah. So you really do have a fairly normal winter season. It really is about 3 or 4 months. The winter season, or is it a little bit longer?
Well, see, calendar-wise, it's about 2 months, December to March. But generally in Canada, we will see snow on or the day after Halloween.
Okay. And so you really do get early snow.
Yeah, and we will if we see snow in April, we'll be like, yeah, well,
it's
Canada.
Yeah. Okay. So you really do get the extended month, because that was the way Spokane was. You didn't think anything about snow in October. It's just not a big deal.
Yeah.
And anyway, so yeah, interesting day. I was. Are we ready to start telling anecdotes and things like that? I was just going about my Twitter business. Everybody knows I'm kind of a numbers whore on Twitter, and you get I have a lot of conservative accounts following me, and I got this tweet from a guy, and he was going on about how the government was, was forcing people to have, vaccinations against their will, forcing kids to have vaccinations against their will. And I said, "What do you mean against their will?" "Well, the government, is putting poison in children." I said, "Putting poison in children?" He said, "Yeah, and you don't need that stuff, and smallpox has been wiped out." And I said, "The only reason smallpox has been wiped out is because of herd immunity." And so I began to explain herd immunity, and the guy got abusive with me. And so I stayed calm with him, and he said, "Let's take this up over on DMs." And so we had a little DM back and forth, and he basically began threatening me. And this all ended up with me. He said that I was a traitor to the United States. I was a traitor to the white race. And when he said white race, that's when I realized that I was not just dealing with a regular lunatic. I was dealing with a special lunatic. And the old Skep would have poked it, with a stick just to play with it. But I just decided to take the 45 out and blast it in the head. And so, I told him exactly what was wrong with him. I said, you're not thinking this thing through. You don't think deeply about this sort of thing. You mistrust the government because you don't really understand what's going on. And as a result, you don't really understand what's wrong with the government.
Yeah.
You're missing the point. You echo the thoughts of people who think much better than you do or ever will. And for that reason, I don't have any more time for you. And I blocked him.
Nice.
I don't block too many people, but I just pulled out the 45, put it to his temple, and did the merciful thing.
Well, it's
I traitor to the white race.
A traitor to yeah.
I'm a traitor to the white race.
I had to go and I went on Blind Girl stream last night because she was talking about how I think she was trying to put herself in the shoes of the anti-vaxxers who fear autism.
Yeah.
And I understood what she was trying to do. Like she was trying to trying to, I guess, sympathize with the parents who want, like, they want the best for their kids and they think autism is bad. So they want to protect them from that, and they get told that vaccines cause autism, and so they go, oh shit. And, she was trying to use the, the road to hell is paved with good intentions argument.
Right.
And I said, that's an okay argument if you're talking about not using corporal punishment on your kid or something like that. But when you're affecting the public health of your community, your good intentions be damned.
Right.
Your ignorance be damned. You have, if you need...
Well, it's not an excuse, that's all.
No, if you need the government to come in and tell you, listen, you moron, we're vaccinating your children, well, then so be it.
All right. This isn't really hard.
And I do not want government interference with parenting. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I don't either, until the parents really do things that are bad for the children. I mean, there are things that you can say, that if you look at a child and you see cigarette burns on the arms or the genitals, that child is being abused and that child needs to leave that place. Okay, even if the parents are the natural parents, you need to get them out of that situation.
Yeah.
And I look at, not taking proper medical care of children. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
And part of basic medical care is getting your children vaccinated. And there has to be a direct medical
reason. If you've got an autoimmune disease or
a direct allergy.
Yeah, if you are violently allergic to eggs
or whatever
or something.
Yeah.
And that is what herd immunity is for.
That's exactly right. You're the ones who get the benefit of the herd immunity. Exactly. Yeah. You're the ones who get to take advantage of that. But if you just say, well, no, I just want to feel good about myself and, fuck the government. No, you don't get to do that.
My religion or my morals.
Religion. No. You man.
Freedom of religion is fine until you impact your community, and then it's not fine.
Stupid people reproduce and vote. Those are two of the biggest problems society has. No fooling. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding. If stupid people could not reproduce and did not vote, we might actually get someplace. We'd get way down the road blinds.
Yeah.
Not playing.
And it's speaking of stupid people. So Trudeau.
Why do I remind you of stupid people?
Well, you don't, but your words did.
Easy.
Trudeau has expelled Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott from the Liberal Party.
Imagine my shock. What a smart thing to do by a brainy guy.
So I've got
he feels very brainy right now, doesn't he? Very powerful.
So she wanted, I read an article yesterday about Wilson-Raybould saying that she doesn't see why she shouldn't remain a member of the Liberal Party, and she should have.
Yeah.
This is absolutely evidence of Justin Trudeau getting rid of the people who call him out on his bullshit.
Being a little bitch.
Yeah. The Liberal Party needs people like Jane Philpott and Jody Wilson-Raybould, and he just fucked the party. Like, they were basically, if they were to run for leadership of the Liberal Party, they would have saved the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
Either one of them. Jody probably more so than Jane Philpott.
Either would have been better than asshole boy.
Yeah, but now that he's thrown them out, he has basically put the nail in the coffin. No one is going to want to vote for the Liberal Party now. He has lost, I guarantee you, he has lost the Vancouver Granville riding now, which was Jody Wilson-Raybould's riding. And that riding is either going to go NDP or Conservative now. Either way.
How significant is that in the overall scheme of things? One riding.
It actually can be, depending on how large the riding is.
Okay, so total numbers matter.
Yeah. Like, there are some MPs who have a huge number of constituents in their riding, and they are very important ridings. So this is no confidence vote in 4 weeks, says Irate Prostate. I hope so. The way he's going, I would be shocked if he made it to fall election. I predict now that there will be a summer election, because the way he's...
But there's been nothing firm about getting rid of Trudeau.
No, there's been nothing firm, but the way he keeps going, there is no reason for the Conservative Party not to... The Conservatives and the NDP right now could form a coalition and vote him out of...
Do they have the political will to do that?
Yeah, I think they would. Because even the NDP is, as socialist as they are, are sitting there going, what the fuck are you doing?
But they hate the Conservatives even more than they hate the Liberals.
The enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Not when the enemy of your enemy is even more of an enemy of you than they are of your enemy.
True.
See, that's why I think the NDP will be loath to make nice with the Conservatives, because they're going to be saying, if we lie down with these dogs, we're going to wake up with fleas.
Yeah. But they're fucked. The NDP will never get they won't even get a minority government.
What they have to do is foment revolution in the Liberal Party, and then make peace with the Liberal Party and make a coalition with them. That's really what the NDP needs to do. If you want to know the truth.
And they probably could have done that with Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott there.
How can they get rid of Trudeau and keep the Liberal Party in power? I don't think the Conservatives can take back power on their own, can they?
Oh yeah.
Seriously? A straight majority?
Yep. The way Trudeau is fucked up so bad. There is a lot of conservative people in Canada. Yeah. You'd be surprised. Canada is portrayed...
Conservatives are going to take ridings from Liberals.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. We are going to see a majority Conservative government. Probably a bigger majority Conservative government than we did when Harper first was elected back in 2005.
Then Conservatives will have no political will to make nice with the NDPs.
No.
Actually, that would give the NDPs a little bit of political will to go toward the Conservatives, because they know the Conservatives are going to be on top.
Yeah, they could. They don't have to keep the coalition after the no confidence vote.
Gotcha.
That's the important thing. They could form a temporary coalition and say, listen, we will help you vote no confidence, If you will, like, if there is, like, they could find one thing that each of them could compromise on politically, which in Canada, conservatives are pretty progressive. That's why it's called the Progressive Conservative Party of Canada. So if the NDP could find one thing that Andrew Scheer is willing to play ball on after, like, when it comes time to run, then they could say, listen, we'll help you vote no confidence if you promise that you will not install a pipeline somewhere. That's not going to happen, but that's just an example. Like, a pipeline is not something that the Conservatives are going to back down on. But
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But why would the Conservatives give up on anything if they're going to win any?
They don't have
to. They just have to wait for They just have to wait for an election.
Well, because if they wait for an election now, Trudeau is basically that kid with the gasoline, because he knows he's not going to be reelected.
Mm-hmm.
So right now he's doing as much damage as he can. So basically, the longer Andrew Scheer waits, the bigger of a mess he's going to have to clean up. So if he waits till the fall, who the fuck knows what Trudeau will have done between now and then? I think it would be smart for him to call a no confidence vote and force an election, because if you force a no confidence vote, you're now going to have to force the Liberals to pick a new leader.
So there's no provision like there is in Azerbaijan or some of those places where you could go and kill him.
No, you don't have Klingon rules here.
No Klingon. Okay, no Klingon.
You can't kill your captain if you've lost confidence in your captain.
Okay, well that's rather limiting.
Churchy, hi, buddy. Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say.
Yeah, we should say hello to chat. I see my buddy Irate Prostate is there. See Festering Wound and Little Inward, I guess I should say. Rico is there. Kara Zering is there. Hi, Kara.
Hi, Kara.
P-Dog Knight is there.
Scotsman's here. Hi, Opinionated Scotsman.
Turk.
Chadwick.
Yeah, Chadwick's there. Let's see. I saw
Mr. Monopoly's here.
Yeah, Data Wasteland. Mr. Misanthropic. Anybody else?
Festering Wound is here.
Yes. Anyway, excellent.
So this is a big fucking deal in Canadian politics.
You're right. You're man, it is so frustrating. When will he be forced to hold an election? Ceteris paribus. If everything else remains equal.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Let's ask the Google machine. When must Canada stand hold an election? Okay. Next fixed election date is October 21st, 2019. So it must hold an election by October 21st.
Yeah.
So I predict that's what will happen. I predict that they will let fuckface Pussy Hat do as much damage as he can, and they will, because they're politicians.
Yeah.
They will just sit there and just say, "Ain't it awful? Ain't it awful? Don't ever vote for these guys again. Ain't it awful? Ain't it awful? You're just making your tab bigger and bigger." And then they're going to roar in there. The only thing is the milk might spoil if they wait too long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think
he might killing him like around June. I mean, if Klingon rules were there, I'm just saying it would be almost perfect.
Well, I was thinking if he forced a no confidence vote around June and forced like an August election or September election.
Yes.
So that the Canadians had to go to the polls maybe a month early.
Yeah.
Would probably be a smart move.
Why would that make a difference over an October election? What would be the difference of 4 weeks? 4 to 6 weeks?
It could, first of all, it could fuck with the Liberals' ability to campaign properly.
How so?
They are the party in power. So they'll have...
Are they not campaigning now?
You don't actively...
If not, why not?
You don't actively campaign until about 2 months before your election.
What?
Because it costs money and you have to raise your money privately, because woe betide you if you use taxpayer funds to campaign for your... I think the party in power may be allowed to have some taxpayer dollars to fund their campaign.
It's called incumbency.
Yeah.
The advantage of incumbency.
Yeah.
Just you get to announce, well, look at this new bridge we're opening.
However, there's a certain like you can't use all of it. Like you must still fundraise most of your campaign. You must fundraise most of your campaign funds.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a data wasteland. You vote for the party, not the person, because it's first past the post. You vote for what's called your riding. Now,
so you vote for your guy in your riding,
yes,
right? And so he's a member of a party, so that counts. But you're only voting for your guy.
Yes.
And then if that party has a majority in parliament, then they can elect the prime minister from amongst their bunch, their lot.
They've already... Okay, so their party has already picked their leader.
They've already picked their leader, and he becomes the prime minister.
Yes. So once the party with the majority amount of ridings that have successfully voted for the same, like for whoever's got the most ridings for their party, and their party's picked the leader before elections started. Okay. And so that leader of that party will become prime minister.
Okay. Now, first past the post, when you say that, what that means is in overall terms, the number of ridings or the number of votes total?
Oh, it will be the number of people. It will be the number of... Fuck, I can't remember how to...
Okay, here's what I think happens. What I believe happens is that your parliament is composed of the successful electees of the different ridings. A party with a majority gets to have the head of their party be the prime minister. If there is no majority, then you can do a coalition, and
which has happened.
Yeah, and then the leader of the large party will most likely have the prime minister. So it's really not a direct democracy, which is good because it's not mob rule. In other words, so it's basically it's actually a very conservative form of government. It's almost like having only a Senate.
Yeah, the best way to describe it is when you're listening on election night and more vote results come in, you'll hear the Conservatives have won the riding in North Quebec City. We'll just say, which means that out of the three parties, NDP, Liberal, Conservative, the Conservatives will have won the most seats in that riding, the most votes in that riding.
Okay.
And then after everything closes, Elections Canada then figures out, okay, we have, the Conservatives have won this many ridings, the Liberals have won this many ridings, the NDP have won this many ridings. Who has won the most? Okay, so we do all the counts.
And they say is that a majority of the seats?
Yes.
Is that a majority of the ridings? And if it is
voila, the majority of the seats? Yes.
Is selected at that moment.
Yes.
Okay. If not, they give a period of time, say, go make a coalition and pick your guy. And then that happens. If it's not, in other words.
Yeah, we have we have had a coalition government before here.
Right.
We've also had a minority government where
the prime minister came from the minority?
No, the party. See, explaining a minority government is hard because technically they've not won the majority of seats.
But they're the largest plurality.
They're the largest
plurality,
I believe. Yeah.
Right.
So they then get a minority government. It is easier to topple a minority government in the House of Commons. It's easier to stall a minority government.
A minority government is a cabinet formed in a parliamentary system when a political party does not have a majority of overall seats in the parliament. It is sworn into office with or without formal support of other parties to enable a government to be formed. Under such a government, legislation can only be passed with the support of enough other members of the legislature to provide a majority, encouraging multipartisanship.
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, in one of Stephen Harper's, I believe it was his last term, he was, I believe, a minority government, his Conservative Party. And the House of Commons basically stalled everything for his entire term. Because they were like, nope, we're not voting for that. Nope, we don't agree with that. Nope. Now
you say the House of Commons.
That is it's basically our House of Lords. It's our parliament. It's where we go, it's where everyone votes things.
Now, wait, do you have a House of Lords and a House of Commons?
No, we have a House of Commons and a Senate.
Okay.
I guess the Senate would be more like the House of Lords.
Okay, so you have the Senate and the House of Schmucks, basically. Like England does.
Yeah.
Okay, and the Senate are appointed for life and they have estates and stuff? Or are they elected also?
The senators are appointed.
Okay, and who appoints them?
The
king or queen?
The prime minister can appoint them.
Oh.
You can be nominated.
I did not know this. This is fascinating.
At least I think the prime minister can appoint them. See, this is where I get a little bit fuzzy on my politics because I learned so much so fast, and I mess it up sometimes. Turk's right. You don't form if you win a minority government, you don't form a coalition or vote again. You just the way it's described that you read, right? Okay.
The Senate is modeled after the British House of Lords and consists of 105 members appointed by the Governor General on the advice
That's right.
On the advice of the Prime Minister, really by the Prime Minister. Mm-hmm. Seats are assigned on a regional basis. 4 regions defined as Ontario, Quebec, the Maritime Provinces, and the Western Provinces each receive 24 seats. The remaining portions of the country, Newfoundland, Labrador, receiving 6 seats, and 3 northern territories each receiving the remaining 1 seat. Senators may serve until they reach the age of 7,450 years old. I'm sorry, 75. Okay, while the Senate is the upper house of Parliament and the House of Commons is the lower house, this does not imply the Senate is more powerful than the House of Commons. It is merely entails that its members and officers outrank the members and officers of Commons in order of precedence for purposes of protocol. Okay, as a matter of practice and custom, the Commons is the dominant chamber.
Yes.
The Prime Minister and Cabinet are responsible solely to the House of Commons and remain in office only so long as they retain the confidence of the House of Commons. So yes. Commons is really the Senate is the House of Schmucks.
It is. The House of Commons is where the no confidence votes will take place.
Yeah.
The House of Commons is where you see all of those, like every time you hear about question period and stuff like that, that's where that's all taking place, is the House of Commons.
Okay. But the approval of both chambers is necessary for legislation, and thus the Senate can reject bills passed by the Commons.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So Data Wasteland, that is not true. The Queen does not own our ass very much. Like, she doesn't own our ass anymore. We don't require her rubber stamp on our laws anymore. Thank you to Trudeau Sr. for that.
It's the Viceroy, right?
And I thought American politics was confusing, says Mr. Misanthropic. Yeah, it is a bit windy. It is a bit windy.
This is fascinating. The Wikipedia article is really worth reading, guys. Especially when it gets down to how it talks about how the chamber, the symbols, the seating, how the ones from the Northern Territories are relegated to these little benches.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Very interesting stuff. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off into this little rabbit hole. We kind of
it actually helped me explain what's going on because So
I just wanted to know, when must Canada hold an election? So anyway, getting back to what we were talking about.
Our last election was October 19th, 2015.
Okay, so it's October 21st, 2000. Yeah, it's basically 4 years. October 21st, 2019, because on account of weekends and so forth. Yeah. And so they, seriously, just because I love Canada, I kid about Canada and say Canadistan and all that kind of stuff. But, I had such good experiences when I did a bunch of consulting work up there in Kelowna. I've gone to Victoria. I've been in different parts of Canada, and I love the people up there. I truly enjoy the beauty of the place, and it hurts me to see an asshole like Trudeau ruining that beautiful country and in charge of those beautiful people. You all deserve better. You truly do. And it's painful to watch, his stupid cavorting, his witless, selfish, preening. There's no dignity at all.
He calls himself a feminist, and look how he's treating
it's not feminist to be a tampon. He's a tampon.
And the way he's treating two of the strongest women I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the Monday stream when I went over that recording.
Yes.
She was fantastic.
Yes. But not really good enough for his government, don't you think?
Oh, of course not, because she speaks her mind, and she's like, Trudeau doesn't want women. He says he wants women who are strong and empowered. Yeah. He fucking doesn't.
He wants people who do. He's basically a dictator. He wants to be king.
He does.
He was born 300 years too late. He would have been a good French king. The sort who would have gotten his head chopped off, which would be perfect.
Well, and
I'd like to behead it myself.
The way that his deputy minister was like so cocked to him. Oh, he's in a really firm mood about this.
A firm mood.
Fuck his mood.
He's never had a firm mood in his life. It was like the last time he had an erection. Fuck him, asshole. Swear to God. Absolutely beggars belief that guy is in charge of anything. I mean,
his father would be.
Was probably spinning like a turban in his grave.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's painful to watch. Painful.
So there's so in more Canadian news, I don't know if you heard about this. It did, I believe, garner international headlines, but in 2016, I believe, it was either 2016 or 2017, there was a really bad bus crash in Saskatchewan. It killed an entire sports team.
Oh, I heard about
they were called the Humboldt Broncos.
Yes.
They so there's this woman who was at the scene of the crime. I'm going to find the actual article. I posted it inside chat.
Catch this real quick. You post it in yours in my chat or
in the Google Hangouts chat?
It's not. It's not coming up.
I hope I did.
It's not showing at all.
Uh-oh.
I'm not saying it.
Oh yeah, here it is for me, thankfully.
What's the title of it?
I will is this the right one? Is this the right one? Oh, no, that's not the right one. Minimize that. So it'll be this one here. Oh, there's an interesting one. I couldn't find the article here. I missed the article. But so she was at the scene of the crash, this lady, and was pregnant. Okay. And went into labor, but didn't say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like drove herself to the hospital. And she decided that she was going to name her daughter after one of the crash victims. Yes. So she named her daughter Logan. And then her middle name is Humboldt Strong. Humboldt Strong. So Logan Humboldt Strong, because that was the saying around, it was a hashtag Humboldt Strong.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I don't think it was 2018, Della. I think it was 2017. So she named her daughter Logan Humboldt Strong, and she decided that she's decided that her daughter was a gift. And she chose to name her after this Logan dude because he donated his organs. He signed an organ donor card 5 weeks before the crash on his birthday, and his organs saved 6 lives. So apparently she feels the need to insert herself into his death and the deaths of his 15 teammates by naming her daughter after him, and then Humboldt Strong, and making this all about her somehow. And now she's gotten national attention for it.
Is this Kelsey Fiddler or something? Was that her name?
I believe so. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so Kelsey Fiddler says every time she looks at her smiling baby's face, she feels stronger. It's a gift, she says, from the Humboldt Broncos defenseman she named her daughters after.
Yeah.
Fiddler, who is from the Red Earth Cree Nation in Saskatchewan, was pregnant and traveling with her 2 sons on a clear afternoon last April when a semi-trailer shot into the path of a bus carrying the junior hockey team. She was a few meters away, stopped at the intersection facing the truck driver when the impact occurred. It feels like it was just yesterday. Sometimes I don't want to remember it just because remembering the day I literally start crying, she said in an interview from Nippon, Saskatchewan. She said she tried to stay calm as first responders arrived at the crash site, but suddenly she was having contractions. She didn't want to distract from rescue efforts or take up an ambulance, so she drove herself to the hospital in Nipawin. The baby was healthy, contractions stopped. At the hospital, Fiddler finally allowed herself to cry. In the weeks that followed, the baby kicked inside her. Fiddler often thought about the 16 people killed and the 13 who were injured. She learned how Logan Boulay, a 21-year-old defenseman, had signed an organ donation card on his birthday 5 weeks before he was killed.
How do you find that out?
Probably something that, there's probably some back and forth on his Facebook memorial page or something like that. His organs helped 6 people across Canada and nearly 100,000 Canadians who learned about the young player signed up to become donors. So that's probably what it was. The expecting mother reached out to Logan's parents, Bernadine and Toby Boulay, and explained her connection to the crash. They gave her permission to name her soon-to-be-born baby in honor of their son. On June 4th, Logan Humble Strong was born at the Victoria Hospital in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. She is a handful already, Fiddler said, laughing, explaining how Logan was quick to learn to crawl, play, walk with her older siblings. She said she still thinks about the scene and often gets panic attacks, but has to be brave for her 2 sons who were in the car and witnessed the collision. So
Dude, you weren't in the collision.
She has to be brave, though, because she saw the collision. It's just stunning and brave.
Black Romeo says this is sick virtue signaling. It is.
This is like Munchausen virtue signaling.
Yeah.
This is like, you know how Munchausen is, being sick to get the attention of the doctors.
Yep.
This is like being virtuous, second order virtuous, attaching yourself to injury to, pretend as though you were brave. And then she kind of, I also have PTSD from watching the accident. I still get panic attacks. I get panic attacks too. I was injured in the accident. I was practically on the bus.
Yeah.
Really, in a way, I was.
This is a new level of virtue signaling, says Mr. Misanthropic. It is a whole new.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. It's a great comment.
This is disturbing.
It's just, it's disappointing too.
It is.
This lady went to a lot of trouble to get her psychosis or neurosis into the newspaper.
Yeah.
Into the news.
And then she went to the parents too. Like, hi, I watched your son's death.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to name my daughter after him.
And I have PTSD, and I might have to sue somebody if I don't get my way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
God, could you see that? Some unscrupulous lawyer having panic attacks, that there was something imperfect about the bus.
Yeah.
Something imperfect about the road, or something imperfect about something that was attached to an insurance policy.
Opinionated Scotsman says, I've watched car crashes on television before. I need counseling.
Exactly. Where's my million?
Yeah.
Where's my $1 million?
Rich at Art says, the more I hear about things like this, the more I hate women, and I love women.
Yeah, I know. It's not hashtag not all. It's
some of us aren't stupid.
No. Men and women can be good, bad, noble, crude, inspiring, banal. They run the gamut. Most of them are in between at different times. They can be both.
Yeah.
And they're just human beings. But when you see somebody put together a whole bunch of crude like this, a whole bunch of banal like this, it's just nauseating. As I was reading this, I just went, please have there be something redeeming here. Please have there be something redeeming here.
Nothing.
Yeah. And I was let down hard.
So here's an interesting story. Woman who feels no pain. UFC research.
I spent a few years that way. Irate prostate can understand that.
Joe Cameron White doesn't feel pain. University of Canterbury. Joe Cameron on the right and University of Professor on the left is one of the researchers who studies her. So they're looking at her DNA to see why she doesn't feel pain. So a University of Calgary scientist is sharing what he and his fellow researchers learned when looking at the curious case of a woman who feels no pain. Matthew Hill is a neuroscientist with the Hotchkiss Brain Institute at the University of Calgary. He is one of several researchers who recently published a study in the British Journal of Anesthesia about the woman's unique DNA. A few years ago, Hill said, doctors in Scotland became fascinated with a woman now 71 years old after she underwent surgery for her arthritis. After something that normally required a fair amount of post-operation analgesia, that's hard to say. Joe Cameron seemed totally fine without it. So, according to Hill, when the doctors followed up with her and started asking questions, they realized this was a history she'd had throughout most of her adult life. And as far as she could remember, she had never really used painkillers for things. He told the Calgary Eye Opener. She had a lot of scars across her hands, had undergone things like hip replacement surgery, and always reported things like childbirth as going just fine, not painful at all. Lucky bitch.
Pleasant. Pleasant, not painful at all. Oh my God.
What a lucky bitch. That's all I can say to that. That's all I have to say to that is lucky bitch.
Oh my God.
And Hill said this was more than just a case of a high pain tolerance. It seems in many ways more like an insensitivity to pain, he said. She just didn't seem to be able to perceive that something was kind of a painful stimulus like the rest of us would have.
That could be dangerous, right?
Pardon?
Couldn't that be dangerous?
That's what it was just about to say. That could be potentially dangerous, since pain is known to warn people when something bad is happening to their bodies.
Yeah.
So the next heading says burns with no pain. An example of it is a description of some events that she didn't know she had, he said. She burned her hand on a hot burner, and until she smelled the scent of her burning skin, or she didn't realize that her arthritis had progressed to the point where her legs gave out because they weren't working. Wow. That's crazy.
And not having ever experienced pain, she's not afraid of pain.
No.
She doesn't think about pain the way everybody else thinks about it. That's interesting.
That's crazy, man. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
So then it says, but according to Hill, researchers found that in addition to her lack of physical pain experience, Cameron was not also experiencing pain to the same degree as others were psychologically. Interesting. They started asking her if she they started asking Cameron if she'd ever felt anxiety or a response or fear response that most people would have, such as being in a car accident. She described things that many of us would have found traumatic, like a car accident, that she described as not producing any sense of fear or anxiety whatsoever. She seemed to also have blunted stress response or reduced emotional behavior. Huh. In order to test the woman's pain tolerance, Hill said researchers did various tests, including one at Hill's request, wherein she wanted to see if she was able to eat a large amount of chili peppers. Weird. That's an interesting test that she would.
I'm actually looking at the article now. They gave her Scotch bonnet pepper to eat. You know, have you ever eaten?
I've heard of Scotch bonnet. I've eaten it in things.
No, have you ever eaten a raw Scotch bonnet?
No, I've never eaten a raw Scotch bonnet. I've eaten it in things like jerk chicken or something like that, but never raw. Yeah, Pincalo has eaten them raw.
You don't eat a lot of Scotch bonnet. I ate about half of one, and it just about put me in the hospital. I eat jalapenos and habaneros. I eat those like dill pickles.
Yeah.
Nothing. Habaneros, nothing. And the Scotch bonnet was just, I had to just sit down and recover for about half an hour. It really will put you in a different place. And I understand those are nothing compared to like the Carolina Reapers. They're basically poison.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So are not they describing a serial killer, says Data Wasteland?
She said that she took a Scotch bonnet pepper in the lab and ate it whole and reported a pleasant tingle in her mouth and the mind, which is not the way I think the rest of us would normally describe a Scotch bonnet, he said. No. Writhing, being taken to the emergency room. That's more the way you
just eating a whole one. Just
yeah.
I don't think even Pincalo would do that.
I ate about half of one, and I am famous in my family for my tolerance to capsaicin, and that is just this hardcore. When taking a closer look at what caused the woman to feel no pain, scientists found two notable genetic differences in her DNA, both of which impact a gene that regulates a body's endocannabinoids, something Hill describes as the brain's version of THC, tetrahydrocannabinol, his area of expertise. It was my area of expertise when I was in college, too. So she had really high levels of endocannabinoids, and we think that actually may have conferred this kind of pain insensitivity as well as her blunted emotional responses to fear-inducing stimuli. I just think that's fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Hill said the researchers' findings could prove to be helpful for others. The thought is that the system that she has that's kind of dysregulated may be targetable for people as a novel approach in pain medication. Boy, wouldn't that be great to get away from opioids and smoke a little dope and pain blocker kush.
Yep.
And, make you really give real pain relief that really worked, that could make childbirth pleasant. Imagine a bunch of stoned women going through pleasant childbirth.
Oh my God, if I could have had a capsule or two of freaking CBD oil.
Yeah. Anyway, in fact, Hill said a drug has been made that blocks the enzyme in question, but it doesn't seem to have worked properly, or at least the way that they're talking about here. There's some thought that might reduce pain, but for some reason in healthy adults, just giving them a drug to block this enzyme doesn't seem to fully reproduce her phenotype. He said, phenotype meaning the physical thing that happens with her. So we're not exactly sure why that is. It might require longer term treatment. I mean, she's had these gene changes her whole life. That's the end of the article. But that's a fascinating thing. I'm sorry, I did not mean to steal that article.
That's fine, actually. It was helping me. It helped me. It was really cool. Like Pincalo found that for us.
I got interested in it, and I just started blurting out, stuff that I wanted to share back with you. But I didn't mean to be.
Well, that's a good question, Black Romeo. He says, if you couldn't feel pain, would you want it cured, and would you want it spread, that ability spread to others?
Yes and yes. Pain's not good. There's nothing good about pain. Okay. I mean, it can be an okay diagnostic tool, but there are other ways to find that stuff out. We're pretty sophisticated these days.
Data Wasteland says, newsflash, the sweet little old lady who didn't feel any pain had 137 bodies found in her backyard and under her well-growing rose bushes.
Right. Her award-winning rose bushes.
Her award-winning rose bushes, yep.
What's your secret to your award-winning rose bushes? Oh, I couldn't tell you, honey.
Good secret. Soil.
All you need is here. Yeah, all you need.
We need pain.
We need pain.
Just damn it, says Chadwick.
I don't think so. We don't need as much as we have.
No.
We need a little, but
I think pain. I think pain is a way of
communication.
Our body saying, "Hey, something's wrong. Fix it."
Yeah.
You're
right.
It's also a way of not just saying, "Hey, something's wrong, fix it," but in the way of childbirth, it's also a warning sign of like, "Hey, baby's coming." Or, just pain is a necessary evil, unfortunately, but if I had the ability not to feel pain at all, and that could be harnessed as a pain management tool.
Yeah.
For extraneous pain or like
what Ranting Monkey has?
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
That would be something that I would love to spread to people.
Johnny Hellcat just came into chat. Hey, Johnny. Green Thunder says, speaking of not feeling pain because my appendix was behind something, I can't remember exactly why I couldn't feel it after it ruptured.
Ooh.
Man, ruptured appendix, it's probably all you can feel. But it's interesting. One of the things that gynecologists like to do in women when they're about 40 is they like to give them a hysterectomy.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because it helps them to detect early ovarian cancer. The uterus is in the way of feeling the tumor in the fallopian tubes.
Oh, I got you.
And so, having it out of there, it's just much easier to examine for the doctor. And you don't feel pain in the early stages of that. Makes up for it later. That's another thing. One of the most painful ways to die is ovarian cancer. Period. Those ladies are on intravenous morphine when they die, and they should be. And so.
Black Romeo says, I read a book about this. A spell was put on the main character to remove all his pain. The spell was removed later, and he collapsed from all the pain he didn't know he was experiencing. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to know the name of that book, too. Chadwick asked him the name of the book. I'd like to know the name of that book. So anyway, in other news and other stuff that got posted to your server, do we want to go that way, or?
I got one more story, and then we can do that.
Absolutely.
Do you want to hear about what Billy Joe Armstrong is fucking doing?
Oh, hell yeah. Green Day, is it trying to be relevant again?
Oh, yes, it is. And in the most sickening way possible.
Ago. Oh, really? Are they jumping the shark again?
Green Day releasing first book list of the American Girls this fall.
What? Wait a minute. Say that again.
Hold on. Let me find the title.
Green Day is doing a thing for American girls, a book list for American girls.
Where did it? There's my tab. There we go. Where's the title? Last of the American Girls is the book that they're releasing. So Green Day's writing a book. The band is writing a book called Last of the American Girls.
Okay. Why?
Good question. Let's find out. Green Day have collectively authored a book titled Last of the American Girls. The full-colored text illustrated by cartoonist Frank Caruso, will be released October 29th by Bay Street Books. Named after the song Last of the American Girls on 21st Century Breakdown, the book is described as an inspiring homage to those who it's an inspiring homage and handbook for the rebellious everywoman who refuses to capitulate.
What?
Who refuses to capitulate. According to a statement, no further details are available at this time, but the book is being billed as what was it? Something about True Rebel Girls, another song that's on the 21st Century album.
That was from American Idiot.
This is all from 21st Century Breakdown.
Well, American Idiot had a song on it called She's a Rebel. I do remember that. Huh.
They are so punk they wrote a Broadway musical. Yes, they did.
Jesus God.
Upon its release, Billy Joe Armstrong told Blunt that Last of the American Girls was originally about his wife. Then I started getting into more of my own belief, anything from conspiracy theories to playing my own records. I have no idea what this has to do with anything. It's sort of about an empowering, sort of subterranean kind of lifestyle. But at the same time, there's a new era coming in. Wait, what? Hold on.
It'll get back to Billy Joe. Trust me. It's coming.
Hold on. Let's try this sentence again. He told Blunt that Last of the American Girls was originally about his wife. Then I started getting into my own beliefs, anything from Little Book of Conspiracies to playing vinyl records or something, he explained. It's sort of about an empowering, sort of subterranean kind of lifestyle. But at the same time, there's a new era coming in with a way we all need to live. The song is one of the 21st Century Breakdown tracks.
There's a new era coming in with the way we all need to live.
Yes.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, Skep.
It is. I want some now. Just to help me cope with this.
Yeah, I know, right? I get apoplectic on this shit, says Irate, that prostate.
You know, I liked Green Day a little bit in like 1997.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought, hey, they've got a little bit of music to them. And then they like jumped the shark 2 years later. It didn't take them long. And then they jumped the shark again and jumped the shark again. And I just went, those guys have become self-parody. And since then, they never fail to disappoint. They parody themselves again. I wonder what women think of well, you're a woman. What do you think of this? You're a rebellious every woman.
I will I'm tempted to delete all of Green Day out of my iTunes library right now. I'm so pissed off.
Yeah.
And it's good Green Day. It's fucking Dookie and Insomnia and Nimrod and
Nimrod. Yeah, back when they were interesting.
But what the fuck, Billy Joe? Remember when punk was anti-establishment? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yeah, I know, right?
Nice. Very nice. You have great chat.
I do.
You have great chat.
I really do.
Yep. Fart huffing says I rate prostate, and he's not wrong. Yeah. God.
What a
yeah, I know. What do you even say? I am absolutely stunned. I don't know what to say. Anyway,
I don't know either.
I'm just completely blown away. So
what did you find in the Discord server?
Oh, okay. Well, this is a huge change of topic and probably a welcome one. Let me quick get over to Discord. Caught me completely unprepared, so I'll sing and dance. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, now I can get back over to the. Ooh, somebody else has been posting. The first thing I got. This was interesting because I actually got this from Christina Hoff Summers. Posted this on Twitter. Was the new safer reactors that are coming along. This was from MIT Technology Review. They have sodium-cooled fission and potentially advanced fusion reactors. Fusion may become a reality in about a year or two. They have managed to put a design together, a fusion reactor that puts more, that you get more energy out of than you put into. And they're now engineering that up. They're doing the engineering work to scale that up to something where they believe they'll have a working prototype in a year or so.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was that we leapfrogged China. China was saying that they were going to have that, and they were saying that for 2 or 3 years, and they kept getting it wrong, and they kept saying that we're taking the wrong approach. We took a huge chance with what they call a reverse D topology, and it turned out that we had the right idea, and it was our idea that was the right way. Now China is rapidly retooling. They're completely going with our idea, but they're like 2 years behind. So is it
actual fusion, or is it?
Yeah, it's really fusion. It really is fusion in a magnetic field. It's hydrogen fusing to become helium and producing heat.
So we've figured out fusion on a small scale.
Yeah. And yeah, that's exactly right.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is fucking awesome. And so you definitely will. Now fusion is not something that's going to be the fuel of the future in 20 years. It's going to be the fuel of the future in 5 years. Really, no fucking kidding. And it's just going to come up like mushrooms. So that's really kind of interesting. But in the meantime, they're talking about doing these small fission reactors. These with instead of using like plutonium and really scary enriched uranium, they're using uranium that comes right out of the ground, and it's sodium cooled. They're smaller reactors. They're about 1/20th the size of the bigger reactors, but they have a much smaller potential for problems, just simply because of their size and their design. They're really designed safety first. And there's a company called NewScale. They have a deal to install 12 small reactors to supply energy to a coalition of 46 utilities across the western United States. And they need to get that. They're still finishing the financing for it. And let's see when they they expect to be in operation by 2023, and they will be doing a sodium-cooled system that can be powered with spent fuel, depleted uranium, or uranium straight out of the ground. And Bill Gates is an investor, and they forged an agreement with Beijing to construct a demonstration plant by 2022. But Trump administration's restrictions on Chinese trade make it, you can have a demonstration plant, but that's all. And so that will need to be negotiated. Another Generation 4 variant, the molten salt reactor, is safer than earlier designs because it can cool itself even if the system loses power. In fact, it cools itself very rapidly if it loses power. A Canadian company, Terrestrial Energy, plans to build a 190 megawatt plant in Ontario with its first reactors producing power before 2030 at a cost, it says, that can compete with natural gas. So that would be good. One Generation 4 reactor could go into operation soon. Helium cooled with very high temperature reactors. It could run up to 1,000 degrees centigrade. And the state-owned China National Nuclear Corporation has a 210 megawatt prototype in the eastern Shandong province set to be connected to the grid this year. So they've got all kinds of interesting things going on. But long term, the betting is on fusion. Long term, there is nothing now in that is going to prevent fusion from taking everything. There's just everything to suggest that's going to be the perfect solution. That's kind of interesting.
Oh, the books are called the Dresden Files. It's a series of books.
The Dresden Files, yeah, that's by Jim Butcher.
Yeah,
I've read all
thing
those.
He's talking about happens in one of the later.
I've read all of the Dresden Files. I've read every single one, I thought. That must be something that doesn't happen to Jim Butcher. That doesn't happen to, Harry Dresden. That doesn't happen to the main character that I remember. Huh. Maybe I'm forgetting something. Anyway, I love those books. I recommend them too. Those are, if you like urban fantasy fiction, it's about a wizard who hangs out a shingle in Chicago and keeps Chicago from being destroyed by the evil forces of magic. It's great fun. Very well written.
I've got my books that I still have 4 more that I have to read, but I'm not going to be bad and use all the Audible credits without sharing them with Pink. I feel so bad about it.
What are you reading?
It's called the Pendergast series. And it's
who's that by?
Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. It's a co-authored book. Series of books. I think they have 16 books. And they're very good. They do a lot of research when they've decide on the way that their murders are going to take place, or because they do fiction but it's based in real settings. And it's they use real actual ideas in their fiction. So a lot of the books take place in the New York Museum of Natural History, for example. And they actually describe some of the collections that are there. Even some of the ones that aren't open to the public, because they have like contacts there that will actually help them with research. Like they talk about the whale eyeballs collection that the New York Museum has. They talk about like they mentioned the curatorial stuff that needs to be done. They the FBI agent who is the main character in one of the books basically does a very basic but very well done description of how you profile the two groups of serial killers. You're organized, you're disorganized. And it's all like researched. There's a book where the murder is basically done by causing insanity by using lights and sounds. And then the insane person just goes and kills whoever happens to be near them.
Yeah.
And they have a psychiatrist in the book describing the exact region of the brain that the lights and sounds damages.
Or have to affect.
And it's very good research, and it adds to the fiction and
believability.
They're very well written books.
What's that called? Verisimilitude.
Yeah.
$10 word.
I really, really tried getting into Deep Space Nine the other day. I couldn't get past the first episode. I don't know how you guys do it, says Chadwick.
Well, you have to have a huge intellect, and you have to be charming and intelligent.
Try starting with the second season, because there's not much that you're gonna need in the first season. It's mostly standalone episodes in the first season. The ongoing story really starts in the second season, and it's a lot better. At least I would say.
I think the second season, I've only seen really all of the first season and some of the second season. The second season does seem better than the first season.
Hi, Cynical Lindsay.
Hey, Lindsay.
It takes 2 seasons to develop the characters, says Irate Prostate. Yeah, that's pretty much the going timeline for Star Trek. You need 2 seasons to get good characters going.
For the writers to figure out what the characters are.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Because if you watch, it's the same with Next Gen. You watch the first season of Next Gen, you're like, oh, Jesus, fuck. You watch the first season of Voyager, you're like, oh God.
Voyager, I actually gave up on. I watched two episodes of Voyager, and I said, I'm never watching that again.
Yeah.
I seriously did. I watched the first 2 episodes, and I said, that's awful. They're destroying my beloved franchise.
Yeah. It's the first seasons of most Star Treks, even TOS. You watch the first season of TOS.
Every episode was brilliant. You may not say that.
Well, you know what? I'm
just teasing.
Season 1 of TOS had a lot more, the ratio of good to bad episodes was a lot better in season 1 of TOS than it was in the rest of the seasons.
It's much better than season 3. I will agree with that. I like season 2 of TOS. So
season 2 is great.
Yeah, I thought that was when they just hit their stride completely.
Unless you're in season 3 of TOS, where everything unravels, says Cynical Lindsay. Yep, she's right there with you, Skep.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, it's funny.
So
you want to hear about back in 2016, physicist Stephen Hawking and billionaire Yuri Milner and their secret plan to travel to the stars?
Oh boy, do I ever.
All right. Well, back in 2016, physicist Stephen Hawking and billionaire Yuri Milner unveiled a plan to travel to the stars. The so-called Breakthrough Starshot project is a $100 million program to develop and demonstrate the technologies necessary to visit a nearby star system. Potential targets include Proxima Centauri, a system 4 light years away with several exoplanets, including one Earth-like body orbiting in the habitable zone. Hawking and Milner's plan was to build thousands of tiny spacecraft the size of microchips and use light to accelerate them to a relativistic speed, one very, very close to the speed of light. The large number increases the chances that at least one would arrive safely. Each star chip would be attached to a light sail the size of a badminton court and then zapped with a hugely powerful ground-based laser. Laser propulsion has various advantages. The most significant is that the spacecraft need not carry any fuel, vastly reducing the mass. It also would be capable of accelerating the light sails to a velocity of up to 20% of the speed of light. At that rate, a star chip could arrive at Proxima Centauri in less than 30 years. And the fantastically powerful lasers required for such a mission would be particularly difficult and expensive to develop. And that raises an obvious question. Is there any other way to reach relativistic speed? A relativistic speed is something that is a significant percentage, like 10, 20, 30, 40% of the speed of light. Today, we get an answer of sorts, thanks to the work of an astronomer at Columbia University by the name of David Kipping. He's come up with a novel form of gravitational slingshot, the same technique that NASA used to send the Galileo spacecraft to Jupiter. The idea is to accelerate a spacecraft by skimming past a massive object such as a planet. In this way, the spacecraft steals some of the velocity of the movement of the planet, propelling it on its journey. Gravitational slingshots work best around hugely massive bodies. In the 1960s, the physicist Freeman Dyson calculated that a black hole, yeah, baby, could accelerate a spacecraft to relativistic speeds.
Well, yeah, unless you get sucked in and crushed.
Well, hang on. You're reading my mind. You don't jump ahead on me. But the forces on the spacecraft as it approached such an object would likely destroy it. So Kipping has come up with a clever alternative. No, it's not magic. His idea is to send photons around a black hole and then use the extra energy they gain to accelerate the light sail.
Interesting.
Kinetic energy from the black hole is transferred to the beam of light as a blue shift, and upon return, the recycled photons not only accelerate, but also add energy to the spacecraft. The process depends on the hugely powerful gravitational field around the black hole. Because photons have a small but measurable rest mass, this field can trap light in a circular orbit. Kipping's work is based on a slightly different orbit that steers photon emitted from a spacecraft around the black hole and back to the spacecraft, a kind of boomerang orbit.
Gotcha.
During this journey, the boomerang photons gain kinetic energy, a whole bunch, from the motion of the black hole. It is this energy that can accelerate the spacecraft fitted with an appropriate light sail. Kipping calls this a halo drive. The halo drive transfers kinetic energy from the moving black hole to the spacecraft by way of a gravitational assist. And he points out that the spacecraft does not use up any fuel of its own in the process. It's almost like getting something for nothing. You're not really, but there's just a lot of energy in a black hole. Since the halo drive exploits the movement of a black hole, it is best applied to binary systems in which a black hole is orbiting another object. The photons then gain energy from the movement of the black hole at appropriate points of its orbit. And the drive should work for any mass that is significantly smaller than the black hole, which is practically everything. Kipping says this would allow for planet-sized vehicles. So a sufficiently advanced civilization could travel at relativistic speeds from one part of the galaxy to another by hopping from one black hole binary system to another. An advanced civilization might utilize the light sailing concept to conduct relativistic and extremely efficient propulsion, he says. Now, let's just back up for a second. Think about what this is analogous to. This is like the guys who said, hey, we can harness the power of the wind and build a boat and streamline the boat. It'll go through the water, and we'll see what's over on the other side of all the water we can't see what's over on the other side of.
Yeah.
You know, this is like Columbus sailing across the Atlantic, Magellan sailing around the world.
Yeah.
This is almost an exact analogy.
This is insane. This is cool.
See why I got excited about this?
Yeah.
The same mechanism can also decelerate the spacecraft. You know, you're supposed to ask, how do you stop, right?
Yeah.
So this advanced civilization would probably look for pairs of binary black hole systems to act as accelerators and decelerators. So, you know, you would need a starting point, an accelerator, and a stopping point, a decelerator. The Milky Way contains around 10 billion binary black hole systems. And he points out there are likely to be just a limited number of trajectories that can link them together. So these interstellar highways, basically, are likely to be valuable regions. So you can probably map these out. Of course, the technology to exploit this concept is well beyond our capability at the moment, but astronomers ought to be able to work out where the best interstellar highways lie and then look for the technosignatures of civilizations that might be currently exploiting them.
Yeah.
All that sounds like good fun, and critics might argue that it is little more than fodder for science fiction fans, perhaps. But the Starship concept has been discussed for decades, usually on the fringes of science. In the wake of Hawking's and Milner's announcement, the project has suddenly gained legs. Indeed, the first Starship technologies have already been tested in low Earth orbit, and the first mission penciled in for around 2036 at a cost it has been penciled in at a cost of around $5 to $10 billion.
That's actually pretty cheap.
It is. It's an ambitious goal, but even allowing for various delays, interstellar travel is likely to be possible within 100 years of humanity's first forays into space. That is rapid progress, and it suggests that any civilization with even a small head start on us could have made significantly larger strides. So anyway, I just thought you would find that to be an interesting article, and we could discuss it.
That is, could you imagine if that was successful?
Oh yeah. I mean, you'd be able to take something the size of the moon and accelerate it. You know, it would take a number of years, but you could accelerate it up to 20% the speed of light, sail it for 30 years to Alpha Centauri, decelerate it for 5 years, and put it in whatever kind of in orbit you wanted to calculate it into, around whatever sun or planet or, you know, whatever. It could be a moon around a large planet. It could be orbiting around the sun, you know, one of the stars there. This is how you begin to manipulate things larger than spaceships. This is how you begin to manipulate moons and planets and eventually stars. I read this and I had to stand up and walk around the room. I got so excited.
Yeah, this is like this awesome. This is like and it says planet-sized vehicles. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like,
yeah, I mean, you realize how much energy is contained in a black hole.
Yeah.
There's not really any difference to the black hole in accelerating something the size of a star chip, a tiny chip, and a planet. There's no difference to the black hole. The black hole doesn't really.
The only thing that matters is that for the object that's using the black hole, because the bigger the object, the bigger the danger is of the black hole just going yoink.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But I mean, like, this is potential planet saving.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
if you start getting hinky,
yeah,
need to leave town.
Yeah,
don't want to leave all your fun behind.
Is your son gonna die? Well, right. Take your planet, turn it into a fucking planemo for a while.
Right.
And find a star system that
while you're in transit, you have
go underground or something.
No, you have satellites that are basically giant fusion reactors in the sky, doing directional radiation. The sun wastes 99.99999% of its radiation. It's not directed at Earth. If you directed radiation at Earth, you could have a much smaller plant producing that, and you could budget that for thousands and thousands of years, much less hundreds of years that it might take you to sail through space to get to a different star system. That's easy to engineer. Really is.
We could become that locust species wandering around the Earth, or wandering around the universe, harvesting resources. Says
absolutely, absolutely. Or we could maybe start to figure out what we are here for.
Yeah.
Find out why we are here, what we can do, what we ought to do. Can start to answer those questions, which I would like to know. I mean, I know the religious guys say, well, we already know the answers to all those questions. Okay, maybe you do, but I don't.
Yeah.
And I'd like
God created it all. Well, why? Why would God create a whole bunch of, if you're going to sit there and say that the Earth is the only inhabited planet and it's all for us, well, then why the fuck would God make all the other stars and planets and moons and asteroids and comets?
To test our faith.
And nebulae. And
he did it all in 6,000 years. It's only 6,000 years old.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is just to test your faith. Just faith testing. All faith testing. Okay?
I see.
We all clear on that?
No. No, we are not.
Negative.
He tests your faith with knowledge, and he tests your faith with awful things that happen to you. What a weird God.
That's right. And
he's bipolar, for fuck's sake.
And also, you're evil before you were born.
Pincalo always says that God is like that kid with the magnifying glass burning the ants just to see if he can.
Pincalo is not far wrong. He's not really not. He's not too far off on that. I mean, God is, like Heinlein said, he has the morals and manners of a spoiled child. Most gods do.
And tricks us with things like dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. Tricks us with stuff like dinosaurs and oil and coal and stuff like that.
And the sun sets into a mud puddle, says Goatman. Yep.
That's in the Holy Quran. That's everybody knows that's true. And and when a little baby, when it's born, is satanically evil.
Oh yeah.
Satanically evil and must be tortured forever.
Yeah, when I gave birth to Alex and Logan, the first thing that popped into my head were these things are demon spawn.
Evil. Yeah, demon spawn, right.
Well, I gave birth to them, so they very well could be demon spawn, but
no, you wouldn't realize they were demon spawn for another couple of years. Then you would think they were demon spawn. On occasion. We all have those thoughts. We've all been parents here. We love them. We love our demon spawn. But no, I just don't have a lot of patience for the people who take the easy pill and say, well, I have my answers. Okay, that's good. Stop thinking. That's great. I need to, intellectual integrity requires me to continue thinking about
art for me. Pincalo didn't tell me you made art for me. Is it in Discord? Do you have my Discord?
Okay, moving away. Yeah.
Welcome to the coffee stream where we mind fuck you on the daily.
Well, sorry about that. Sorry about the mind fuck. All right, let's talk about I don't know, something base. Interstellar space travel, great. Now I need to go get a bolter to purge the Xenos. There goes my weekend. I know. What are you gonna do? I'm the black sheep of my family, apparently. Don't feel like the Lone Ranger, Lindsay.
I know, right?
My family disowned me, basically.
My father on the weekend decided to tell Pinkalo and I that we were extremists because we were trying to talk about and he was the sensible one. He was the one who was like, yeah, this is crazy and the SJWs are insane, and now all of a sudden we are extremists on the right. We are right-wing extremists.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? What happened, dude? Like, I can't remember what triggered it, but Pinkalo said something. Oh, he said something like, the way things are going, I weep for my boys because they're boys. And people were they're boys. We live in an era where they could look at somebody and they could get shit on because they're male and they look at somebody weird, and
could be against the law. Yeah.
And my dad's like, oh, you're just, you're being a right-wing extremist and blah, blah, and you need to calm down. You need to calm the fuck down. And it's like, dude, you don't know, like, you're not, you occasionally go and watch the sphere of YouTube, but you don't create on this sphere of YouTube. You're not watching the streams, you're not watching the videos from either side all the time to get like content to do and respond to, and like you don't see it as much as we see it. And he's like, no, you're just being a right-wing extremist. And we're like, okay. What happened to your free thinking there, Dad? It was kind of weird.
I'm looking at Richard Arts. I think it's Richard Artx. Hi, I'm an artist in training and a pervert. Is that you, Rich?
Yep.
Okay. If you want some NSFW art, I'm your guy. Alrighty. And let's look at his latest and greatest. Blind Press and Lucky Pop Tart. Very cool. Interesting.
That's cool, dude.
Interesting. I am going to just pop this into public chat. God damn it. Hold on. Close tab. There we go. Come on, give me some chat. Yeah. Into Richard Arts. Stuff in there.
He needs to wake up as his dream has become too incoherent. Nice, Green Thunder.
Rich is quite talented. He really is. If you look at his stuff, he's really got some talent.
Would you guys? I gotta take a poll in chat. One's in chat. If you guys would be interested in a few things like t-shirts and coffee mugs and stuff, because I'm thinking of starting a small store. Like Pinkalo is obviously going to help, right?
Yeah.
But just like things that like stream lore stuff that I've said, like the proximity badgers, or the whole your brain isn't braining right, stuff like that. Just little quips that have become part of the stream lore. I was thinking of maybe doing like some coffee mugs or some t-shirts maybe, but only if people would be interested in it.
One quick thing that I need to say to Black Romeo. He was right. It was he said, Skep, it was in White Knight. When Harry was given the winter mantle, he felt no pain, and all of his previous energies were gone. When the mantle was stripped away, he felt all his old pain again. I do remember that. He's absolutely right. When he Queen Mab, his nemesis / aunt, interesting person, fascinating character in the Harry Dresden saga. She's actually from the land of fairy. She's literally a fairy queen, and she's just as evil as the day is long. Enlists him as her personal knight and trains him. She gives him the winter night mantle, and his pain goes away.
Aren't fairies supposed to be evil?
Oh man, yeah, but maybe not this evil. She's really written beautifully. Really,
yes, Data Wasteland, blind press-isms.
Blind press-isms.
That's what I would like to do. Like maybe even just put maybe even just have a hashtag coffee stream mug, or like do a t-shirt with a brain that's all fried and saying my brain isn't braining right.
I like that. I could debate with Faithless as to whether or not Mab is evil. Mab is true to the values of fairy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say that, and I'll leave it there, because I could have a whole discussion about that. And she has different views of right and wrong. We can definitely agree with that, Faithless. Very good. Well said. Very well said. Yeah. There are a number of stream lore things that you could put on merch.
Like a loading bar, a shirt with a loading bar that says technical difficulties in progress.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Or just have something, have an apple, that's like broken. Fucking apple, or something like that. There are any number of things that remind us of the travails that you've gone through to bring us your personality. No, that'd be wonderful. That would be great.
Books another series of books that people might be interested in, since we seem to have some fantasy enthusiasts in the chat. Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern series is great.
Hey, I'm going to have to be right back.
No worries.
I'm so sorry about that. Hang on one second.
No worries. I wouldn't recommend the ones written by her son, Todd McCaffrey. They're the later books. But the ones that she writes herself, starting in 1968, I believe, is her first book. It's called Dragon Quest. Although usually you'll find the first 3 books in a 1-volume collection now. The first 3 books are Dragon Quest, Dragon Flight, and the White Dragon. Oh, I'm sorry, Dragon Flight, Dragon Quest, and then the White Dragon. Dragon Flight is the first. And the collection, that 3-book anthology, will be called just The Dragon Riders of Pern. They're great. I really, really enjoy those books. And she does a great job. She's developed like a whole world and a culture and, colloquialisms and a caste system almost. It's great. Duck Dog says, I've got a signed one somewhere. Oh, that's really cool. Anne McCaffrey is a really good book. She's done a couple of sci-fi series. I think The Crystal Singer is another series that she's done. But Pern is one of my favorite series. It's and then there's some sub trilogies within the series. You've got a trilogy all about the Harpers of Pern. And that's a really interesting series as well. And then you've got a couple of books that talk about the commoners of Pern, which are the landholders, the farmers, the holdless men, or as holdless means homeless, basically in that world. But yeah, the Dragon Riders of Pern series, amazing series of books. I love that series. Have you read any Anne McCaffrey books, Skep?
I have not. I started one, and I'm not a dragon person. They kind of have to be like Smog. Or I'm not into it. I'm not into taming dragons. I'm not into riding dragons. For whatever reason, that I just haven't seen treatment that I'd like. And I started reading an Anne McCaffrey book, and it's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's well-written stuff. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And I like a lot of fantasy.
Some people just like their dragons mean.
Yeah. I don't like George R.R. Martin. I just don't care for his style of writing. And he does some things that I think are that just don't satisfy me as an author, for example. So that I'm peculiar that way. You should not set your norms by me, because I'm very peculiar when it comes to what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah.
I tend to like bright lines between good and evil, and I like happy endings. I've had enough. I've had enough drama and unhappy endings in my life. I like happy endings.
See, and that's why, like, everyone, I got into a debate with somebody because they wanted to watch Return of the King, and I'm like, I just don't feel like crying right now. And he's like, what do you mean? It's a happy ending. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Happy ending. Return of the King is not a happy ending.
No, it's not.
Fuck you. I'm like, okay, first of all, everyone's all fucked up from the war.
Yeah.
The hobbits are never going to be the same happy-go-lucky, innocent hobbits from the Shire.
Yep. Sam gets his heart broken.
Sam gets his heart ripped out by Frodo. He's like, oh, yeah, you were a ring bearer. If it weren't for you, the ring would have fucking never made it to Mount Doom.
Right.
But, we're me and your other, employer Bilbo here, we're going to fuck off to the Grey Havens.
Yeah, we're
going to leave you alone.
You have a nice time with your fat, rapidly aging wife.
Yeah, and then freaking not only that, but they get back to the Shire, and the Shire is all gone to shit because Saruman ran and hid there.
Yes, that's in the book, not the movie.
Yeah, but you've got freaking Pippin actually kills Wormtongue.
In the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got, like, there is no happy ending.
Right.
Return of the King, either the movie or the book.
You know why?
Because there's not supposed to be.
Well, no, because Tolkien lost so many friends.
Yeah.
In World War One, he didn't want a happy ending.
This was basically his
therapy.
This was him writing about war.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. Exactly what it was, and the Inklings, the group that he met with at Oxford, people like who wrote Narnia, C.S. Lewis, and the other famous writers, they talked to him. And they said, you should reconsider this. Have you thought about this? And he would not change one word of it. He was completely stubborn about it.
Oh, I can't read the book or the freaking watch the movie without crying my eyes out.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the book, because there's a chapter in the book, like actually right near the beginning of the book of Return of the King, where Faramir is basically, he's been healed by Aragorn and Gandalf. And he's out and he's just looking over Gondor, like Minas Tirith. And he's absolutely devastated, despite the fact that he's made it back and his company made it back.
Yeah.
Because
a scene which gets 15 whole seconds in the movie, by the way.
Yeah. But it's at least 2 or 3 pages of heartbreaking writing.
Yes, it is.
Of Faramir struggling with, I'm alive, but my father has just killed himself because he thought I was dying, and I was his only son, and I still feel that I fucked up by not bringing the ring back to Minas Tirith.
Yep.
And my brother is dead.
Yep.
And now I'm king of Gondor. Yay.
Yeah.
Like, that's... And it's fucking heartbreaking.
Yep.
That's why I get so mad when people say Tolkien was a bad writer. I'm like, what?
No, he wasn't a bad writer. I mean, it's a much more complex story than one got told in the movie.
Yes. What was it? Faithless says, I didn't like that they made it so that Aragorn was basically the king from the beginning of the movie. Yeah.
Right. Exactly right.
Because in the book, it would have been Faramir.
Right.
And Faramir was like, I don't fucking want this.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Faramir was like, what am I, chief beef?
Yeah. He's like, I'll be a captain for you.
Yeah.
I'll fight for you. But you are the fucking heir of Isildur.
Yeah.
I don't want this fucking throne. And technically Aragorn, they didn't do a good job in the movie with this either. He fought for the whole book against being reinstated as the king of Gondor. Because he thought Isildur was weak. And he didn't want to be weak like Isildur.
It was like they gave lip service to Isildur's weakness in the movie, where they showed him at the at the fires of Mount Doom, about to throw the ring in, and with Elrond urging him to throw it in the fire, and he said, "No, the ring is mine," which is what they always say. It's what Frodo would eventually say, and but then every action he takes beyond that belies that.
How many times in the movies was he like, I'm Isildur's heir, I have to do this? It's like, fuck you, that's not what he would say.
Right, exactly. So Aragorn was an invented character in the movie, in my opinion.
Mr. Misanthropic, you're right, they do touch on that, and Aragorn does say he never wanted that power, but that was more of an argument between him and Elrond over Arwen. And I think, again, that's more of like brief lip service. And it doesn't it doesn't, work with the actions that Peter Jackson has Aragorn take in the movie. He's like, I never wanted that power. Well, bullshit. You don't act like it.
Yeah, that there were things I loved about the movie. There really were.
Yeah.
And there were things that were just unforgivable.
Yes.
Fatally doomed.
Peter Jackson's refusal to put the raising of the Shire in the movie was, for me,
he hated the scouring of the Shire. He hated that.
You're supposed to.
Well, yes, exactly. It's that. And he just wanted everything tied up in a neat little bow, and the dissolving of the fellowship, and dun, 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 bullshit. That wasn't the way that it was. And the hobbits, the symbolism of the hobbits shooting Saruman.
Yeah.
Was
they had to murder somebody.
Yes, exactly. The hobbits had to kill Saruman. That's just a gigantic piece of symbolism he just threw in the trash can.
Yeah.
He absolutely.
And the only reason in the book that Sam was eventually okay with staying behind was because he had to stay and help the Shire regrow.
Right. But the Shire wasn't even touched.
Yeah.
It was like they went on completely, no, nothing bad happened. Nobody even knew about it, That was just an unwarranted invention on Peter Jackson's part because he did not like the scouring of the Shire. That was unforgivable. That's a really good point, Blind. God, you just really, I'm sorry. I really react to that. Just, you got to realize that is one of my very favorite pieces of literature of all time. I bet you I have read that trilogy. And this is not an exaggeration. I'll bet you I've read it 35 or 40 times, every single word of it.
It's worth it.
I mean, there are times when I finished it and I've picked up The Hobbit and started again. Yeah. I read all 4 books at a time. I've worn out at least 4 copies of that of the whole set that I've had. Worn them out reading them.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. You can only read them like 5 times, and they get beat up and worn out. I buy paperbacks, but yeah, that's the truth. I love that. I've read the Silmarillion. How many people do you know have read the Silmarillion 3 or 4 times?
Yeah,
Farmer Giles of Ham. How many people you know have read that?
In Mr. Philanthropic says in the extended edition, Jackson has Wormtongue push Saruman off the tower and kill him. Yeah.
No, he doesn't. Legolas shoots Saruman with Wormtongue stabs Saruman.
In the extended edition of the movie.
But what kills Saruman is Wormtongue stabbing him. Saruman falls forward off the tower. It's not Grima pushing him off. That's not what killed him. He's stabbed by Grima Wormtongue. He stabs him twice, and he falls forward off of Orthanc onto a paddle wheel and is impaled on the paddle wheel. But he's already dead. Yeah, it's really pretty gruesome. And then Legolas puts an arrow in Grima to neatly tie the scene up, and Grima falls back and dies on top of Orthanc.
Yeah, Legolas shot Wormtongue, says Faithless. Yeah. Well, guys, it's 2:06.
Oh my God. You've wasted another 2 hours with Blind Press and
yeah. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for coming out, and I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Remember, tomorrow's the short day, and I'm gonna start at 11:30, so right after P Dog's stream. So it'll be from 11:30 to 12:30 tomorrow, and I hope you guys will all tune in for that. And don't forget to come watch Minions of the Zoo tonight at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30
Are you going to be available,
Central.
by the way?
I am indeed.
Formally,
I am indeed.
I always, you always have a standing.
I will definitely be there.
But expectation.
Yeah, I will be there for sure. Good. And Skep is keeper tonight, so
all right,
everybody come and watch us
have some fun.
On. Yes,
yeah.
And
we'll Minions at 10:30 Central and 11:30 Eastern.
Yeah,
and please come and join us.
Yeah, that's the Minions of the Zoo YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed, you should be subscribed. It's a fun place to be on the weeknights.
Absolutely.
So I hope everyone has a great day, and we will see everybody tomorrow. Be safe. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, everybody.